You see, there are some crybabies out there, religious type mostly, who might be offended.
Even before The Simpsons became its own show, when it was just a poorly drawn cartoon used as filler during the Tracy Ullman show, The Simpsons were still setting the tone for what was to come.
Mom, Dad, look! We're pagans!
Christianity is old and outdated and uncool. But in these early episodes, that could be seen as just, kids just being kids. That's only a sentiment that these unruly children have. Homer and Marge, like most Americans at the time, they still attend church. Even if they have to drag their kids kicking and screaming because church was so uncool, that's something that children were picking up from their parents.
Let's go, Homer.
But you don't understand, Marge. I have $50 riding on this game.
Way before The Simpsons, the boomer generation had already gone through a anti-Christian propaganda ringer for decades, and they themselves seem to have internalized that attending church was just out of some kind of obligation to the past.
Why should I feel like a traffic cop every Sunday morning? I'm just trying to get a little goodness into the family.
Where is it? The game! Where is it?
An obligation that seemed increasingly less important as time went by, especially as church began to have to compete with all of the luxuries and entertainment available to the richest and most decadent generation the world had ever known.
I can't believe you're giving up church, Homer.
Hey, what's the big deal about going to some building every Sunday? I mean, isn't God everywhere?
Amen, brother.
And don't you think that the Almighty has better things to worry about than where one little guy spends one measly hour of his week?
Tell it, Daddy.
And what if we pick the wrong religion? Every week we're just making God madder and madder.
Testify.
When The Simpsons attacks Christianity, as it does many aspects of Western culture, they often speak directly of these temptations of entertainment. But the writers also skillfully address that lingering fear, that other thing that kept this generation going to church, the fear of going to hell.
God?
Thou hast forsaken my church.
Well, kind of, but...
But what?
I'm not a bad guy. I work hard and I love my kids. So why should I spend half my Sunday hearing about how I'm going to hell?
You've got a point there. Sometimes even I'd rather be watching football. Does St. Louis still have a team?
No, they moved to Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I really hate about church? Those boring sermons.
I couldn't agree more. That Reverend Lovejoy really displeases me. I think I'll give him a canker sore.
Give him one for me.
I will.
So I figure I should just try to live right and worship you in my own way.
Homer, it's a deal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to appear in a tortilla in Mexico.
But you see, even God is fine with you not going to church. We shouldn't have communities. We should all be these floating atoms in space, doing our own thing with our own version of morality, moral relativism. No connection to anything or anyone else. All defining good and evil for ourselves.
Boy, time really flies when you're reading the Bible. Ew.
That's right, kids and grown-ups alike. The Bible is gross. Nothing good ever came from the Bible.
Let's thank the Lord for another beautiful school day.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord? That sounded like a prayer. A prayer. A prayer in a public school. God has no place within these walls, just like facts have no place within organized religion.
Facts have no place in organized religion. You see, as this Jewish character, one of many in The Simpsons, explains, we have evolved past that. Religion, it's just a lie.
Get a divorce.
But isn't that a sin?
Marge, just about everything is a sin. You ever sat down and read this thing? Technically, we're not allowed to go to the bathroom.
A silly, ridiculous lie. Even the clergy think so.
If the Bible has taught us nothing else, and it hasn't, it's that girls should stick to girls' sports, such as hot oil wrestling.
But actually, it's worse than just lies. It's hateful lies. Hateful lies that promote things like sexism and homophobia.
You reject Satan and all his empty promises.
That's why Homer is willing to do whatever it takes to keep it from his children. But it doesn't matter if we mock religious traditions and blaspheme an imaginary God. After all, God is fake, and so is the existence of a soul.
Soul? Come on, Milhouse. There is no such thing as a soul.
Nope.
What religion are you?
You know, the one with all the well-meaning rules that don't work out in real life. Christianity.
Just a bunch of meaningless rules.
Homer, the Lord only asks for an hour a week.
In that case, you should have made the week an hour longer. Lousy God.
Remember, and you will, because that's how repetition works. It's okay to blaspheme God over and over and over on primetime television.
God is so in your face.
Yeah, he's my favorite fictional character.
Because over and over, he's not real.
What? Wait! I'm no missionary. I don't even believe in Jeebus.
And you know that. That's why you're going to tune in again next week.
We taught them some English and ridiculed away most of their beliefs.
So you can take it from there. Bye.
Ridicule away most of their beliefs. I can't think of a better phrase that describes what Hollywood aimed to do with Christians in the 90s. Nearly everything that's come out of Hollywood for the last 30 or 40 years has attacked Christianity. And yet, American Christians, time after time, line up around the block waiting for tickets.
Son, at times like this, I just look at my bracelet.
Good point, Dad. What would Jesus do?
Jesus? I thought it was Geppetto. Oh, pfft. I wish God were alive to see this.
The message is loud and clear. God is dead, and it's funny to dance on his grave.
I've come to hate my own creation. Now I know how God feels. I'll build you a new treehouse. One so grand it'll be an affront to God himself.
Can it have a rope ladder you can pull up after you?
Only if it's an affront to God. It would have been a lot worse if I hadn't been carrying this Bible in my crotch.
I'm dying. And there's heaven. But who's that? Confucius. And Milton Berle. Boy, have I been barking up the wrong tree.
Well, I guess Jews still go to heaven.
Meet Maggie Simpson, IQ 167.
167? That's amazing for a Christian.
But that's okay because Christians are too stupid to get that night after night, they are the joke.
And when I feel weak, I will draw strength from the Bible.
They will tune in every week and laugh.
Hey, anything's possible with a little help from my Bible. Oh no! It's a real one! No!
As we insult them to their faces.
Why did I put my faith in science and technology?
Oh, why did I choose to be gay?
As we make fun of them and destroy their faith.
Hey, Moses, are you a loser? Yes, I am, Homer.
They laugh and buy our t-shirts and all the other crap we sell them.
I coveted the wife in Jaws 2, I lied to a waiter, I masturbated 8 billion times, and I have no plans to stop masturbating in the future. Woohoo! I'm clean! In your face, Lord!
They eat it up and go to bed with a smile on their face.
Who knew saints had such fat heads?
It's all a big scam.
This boot?
No, religion in general.
Ned, you've got to take this thing with a grain of salt. I mean, come on.
So does this theory of evolution necessarily mean that there is no God?
No, of course not. It just says that God is an impotent nothing from nowhere with less power than the Undersecretary of Agriculture, who has very little power in our system. I hate being late.
Well, I hate going. Why can't I worship the Lord in my own way? By praying like hell on my deathbed.
Homer, they can hear you inside.
Relax. Those pious morons are too busy talking to their phony baloney God. Peace be with you. Praise Jeebus. This book doesn't have any answers. Man, that church service was so boring. Wow, you make people miserable and there's nothing they can do about it. Just like God. I guess I'm more powerful than God now.
Trick or treat isn't just some phrase you chant mindlessly like the Lord's Prayer.
America has a tradition of turning outlaws into legends after their deaths. Billy the Kid, Bonnie and Clyde, Jesus Christ.
Martin was like Jesus, only real.
Jesus Jr.'s gonna set us all straight. Look, Homer, people don't come back as anything except for our Lord who came back as bread.
I know parts of our marriage are based on lies, but so are a lot of good things. Religion.
Who's that?
It is me, Jesus, under the watchful eyes of God. And I'll be watching you too in case God's busy making tornadoes or not existing.
If you're happy and you know it, that's a sin.
Who wrote your brochure? The same schmuck who wrote the New Testament? I can't talk to you. You talk to my niece, Dorit. Dorit, talk to the stupids.
Shalom, Goyim.
What are you up to?
Reading prayers and ignoring them, just like God.
God created a devil? Finally, he did something cool.
We're visiting Grandpa.
No fair, we just went to church.
Yeah, so we've already heard stories from thousands of years ago about stuff that didn't happen. Hey, it's gotta be good if Satan put his name on it.
But you're God. Couldn't you make everything the way it was?
Well, I could, but the big man downstairs wouldn't like it.
Get me a coffee.
Yes, sir.
Hail, Flanders! Mightier than Jesus! Woohoo! No more church!
Harry Maud's ghost.
There is no God, Nettie. It's just an empty, meaningless void.
And that's why I really don't believe there's a God.
Where's my God now?
Help me, God! What is it I'm paying you for every Sunday?
How long has it been since we prayed together, neighbor?
This is praying? Let me out of here!
Are you saying I'm wasting my time?
No, I'm saying you're wasting everyone's time. But it's a church thing, so that's a given.
Bad news, people. Our religion is not true. Sorry about that.
How do you stay so happy? And don't say Jesus.
Merry Christmas, son.
Don't you mean happy birthday?
It's 2 presents.
Walkie-talkies don't count as 2 presents. God. I mean you.
Idiot.
Stupid church. Why would Jesus want us to waste our weekend on extra boring, no recess, dress-up school?
Exactly. God gets your prayers, but he just clicks delete without reading them.
Come on, guys, give it back. Oh, forgive them, Father.
I raised a wuss.
God is in everything. He's omnipresent.
You mean if I check into the Omni Hotel right now, he's there?
As a matter of fact, he is.
Then from now on, we're staying at the Hyatt Regency.
The Simpsons are one of the most popular families in the world.
I knew it! In your face, Jesus family!
It's Yiddish, the language of our Fakakta people.
Mom raised me Christian.
A Christian? Oh, that farbissina shiksa.
Maybe I could teach SAT prep. At least there are answers in the back of that book.
Look, this game is, or at least was, bigger than Jesus, okay?
It's a pretty low bar these days.
This sad wino doesn't look like your god.
Hi, Aslan.
Marge, my child, I've come to offer solace in this difficult time.
You mean convert me to your religion when I'm at my most vulnerable?
No. I'm just here to ask you an important question. Have you heard the news?
Yes, I will be saved. Thanks so much for stopping by.
I'm just going to leave you with this literature. Praise God.
What if after we die, that's it? We're just gone.
So just poof? Really? Poof and then just super nothing?
Now, make a decision to turn your life to God.
God.
I lit these for our son.
Marge, honey, he's never going to come back if he thinks it's a church. Marge, it's worse than we thought. He's speaking in tongues. He's a religious weirdo. The worst thing there is.
There is a God, and his name is the devil.
Thank you for this Christian Oscar. And I'd like to thank the Academy of Arts and Anti-Sciences. And let me just ask this. Is it possible any other religious beliefs are founded on myths?
This interview is over.
And after 30 years of successfully socially engineering the West to throw away the idea of God and promoting atheism, what if the public feels empty? no problem. As it turns out, atheists go to heaven too.
Talking about people who don't believe in God but are still righteous. I'm talking about atheists, Lord.
Atheists? I refuse to believe they exist.
Well, they do. Maybe they deserve a place here, too.
It's not just the Buddhists and the Jews.
All right, I agree. We will open heaven to the deserving atheists. If we've learned anything from these 3 tangentially related stories, it's that there are many paths to heaven.
Maybe we should let everybody in.
Great idea. I decree that all with good souls are welcome in heaven now and forever.
In fact, in the last few years that The Simpsons have been on the air, they seem to have been trying to drive the final nail into God's proverbial coffin.
Say, Marge, I could go for some donuts. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Holy crap! I never had faith in God or family, but I had faith in television. Ooh, this place looks interesting.
Dad, no, that's an actual church.
Church will not be canceled.
Episode after episode has been focused on this idea of moral relativism.
Sweetie, prayer doesn't have to be to God. It can also just be an honest conversation we have with ourselves. Just do what your heart tells you.
This idea that every morality, except for Christian morality, of course, is good morality. It's a replacement for God.
A love that isn't mad at us for our doubt or angry at us because we're alcoholics.
Finally, recognized for my accomplishments.
I think so many of us have made a God that's like us instead of the other way around. God loves diversity. God didn't just make one type of flower. He made thousands of different flowers. Roses, lilies, orchids, and he made the weeds too. But he loves all of them indiscriminately, just like the bees.
You have made this bumblebee a humblebee.
Jesus said, let the weeds grow with the wheat. That means it's all in the game. Go easy on yourself. You don't have to earn God's love. You are God's love.
And now, after 3 decades of relentlessly undermining, they don't need to mask it in humor. They just tell the cattle outright. The Simpsons dedicated entire episodes to this idea while still keeping up the constant hammering at Christianity and going to church to find answers.
You're a vegetarian? What about evolution?
Into it.
Gay rights?
Love is love.
Unless, of course, that church is the same kind of globalist, Unitarian, trans kids supporting church that promotes moral relativism.
Look, God is the love, the yes that set the universe in motion. He or she.
For over 30 years, the message was the same. You don't have to have standards or morality. You just have to be yourself. Embrace diversity. You see, God, if he or she is even real, he or she will let everyone into heaven anyway, if there is a heaven.
Guess what, Mom? I'm a cruciverbalist.
Another religion? You know, you're just gonna drop the whole thing when you go to college and get a Jewish boyfriend.
Probably.
And certainly, if you watch The Simpsons, you have to agree, right? Certainly, if you believed in God, then you wouldn't tolerate all this blasphemy night after night, week after week. Clearly, you can't take God seriously if you conveniently overlook the repeated attacks on your sacred beliefs and trade for some ha-ha funny time. You cannot tell me you believe in God. Because if you did believe in God, if you believed in God and you decided to just sit there and not just ignore the insults hurled at him, but to join in on the fun so you can have your ha-ha funnies. What kind of man would that make you? Clearly you can't believe in God. Because what would that say about you if you did? Think about that. If you really believed in God, and week after week, night after night, You laugh or even just look the other way. How is that any different than a coward just standing there pissing his pants as another man threatens and insults your wife to her face right next to you because you're too much of a pussy to defend her? You're so conflict avoidant. Not only do you not defend her, you actually start to laugh at the insults this man is hurling at your wife, so he knows you're on his side, so he knows you don't pose a threat. That's how much of a fucking pussy you'd have to be. Worse than that, because God comes before your spouse. You would have to be lower than that. You would have to be so low, surely. You can't possibly believe in God. You can't be that disgusting, that feeble, that pathetic. Are you? Or did the Simpsons just finally get what they wanted after 30 fucking years? Making you feel uncomfortable at first, but because you were too scared to not laugh at the jokes written by gay Jews and pedophiles in Hollywood that insulted your God, you were too scared not just to say something, but to not laugh. You'd rather have the acceptance of pedophiles than stand up in service of your God. Until little by little, there was only one way to avoid the shame of that level of cowardice. And that was to stop believing in God in your heart. Because if you did believe in him, and you still not only allowed this to go on, but you joined in the fun so pedophiles would think you were cool, what kind of man would you be then? For Blackpilled, I'm Devin Stack.